So Cortez, I want people to understand that I walk into the office proud to host Pablo Torre Finds Out because we've built a newsroom.
A newsroom?
Yes, newsroom.
Do you understand a newsroom to me has to have like a piece of print newspaper and like ink on your fingers and stuff like that? That's not a newsroom.
There is residue on our fingers, not ink, admittedly.
Go wash your hands.
The point I'm trying to make is that I walk into this newsroom trying to figure out every day, like, what are we supposed to fucking cover? And I just want to ask you, for the sake of rigor, of journalistic introspection, what do you think the biggest story, Cortez, is in sports right now? Shocking.
To me, the biggest story is Deion Sanders' double overtime win, obviously.
Prime time.
That's a good impression of an impression.
Yeah, exactly. Of an impression.
Yeah, and right up there with Deion, arguably even ahead of Deion, to me personally, since you asked me, is Aaron Rodgers telling Pat McAfee that how he plans to heal his injury is to listen to dolphins having sex with each other, and that would help him with the mating process.
I wish that this was something that we had conceived as like a joke, but no, that's.
I'm healed.
That is what the New York Jets are counting on. Fully torn ACL, dolphin sex.
Right.
All of these are the stories we might consider.
Sure.
But for me, if you listen to the news right now, okay, actual alleged journalistic outlets, if you listen to the people running for president, the biggest story in sports, the most urgent story, most pressing thing they want to talk about that has to do with sports in any way is not Deion or Mike McDaniel or Aaron Rodgers' libido. It's not any of that. It's this.
The idea that we have biological boys playing in girls' sports, it is the women's issue of our time.
I'd say it's more. It's more than just cheating. It's dangerous and it's insane.
Transgenderism is a lie. You don't get to choose your own gender. The vast majority of Americans actually agree with that point, that your gender is assigned at birth. It's the way that God made you.
You take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men.
Some women are being badly injured by the wind burn that's caused by the man going so much faster. The wind is blowing.
There are so many more clips like that. But I also want to say right up top here, I get why some people listening are already just exhausted by this episode and by the fact that I'm trying to Trojan horse trans athletes into this show. And I say that because these clips are everywhere. Right? I mean, trans athletes are a front in this forever culture war that is endless. And people all the time on Twitter, on cable news, at home, maybe at your awkward Thanksgiving dinner, people are arguing, complaining about both the merits of the arguments for and against, but also just we all hate each other because people seem dug in and they refuse to admit some stuff that that seems to be settled science.
I mean, when as a longtime like Le Batard show listener, what I think about when I hear you say all that is like the reaction on that show. Anytime Le Batard talks about other, they had a transgender politician on not that long ago named Zoe Zephyr. Very benign what they said, and the reaction was poisonous and infuriating.
And so I just want to be very open here, extremely open here as a quote unquote liberal, because there is one extremely broadly persuasive argument that all of these anti-trans talking heads, legislators, are making against trans women, against trans girls, of course, in specific, because the most famous trans woman right now, Cortez, especially, let's even put it in sports, the most famous trans female athlete right now is who?
I mean, in sports, is no doubt Leah Thomas, the famous trans female swimmer from Penn. Very good. Yeah.
Yes, really good at swimming, which is the problem, right? The problem is that Leah Thomas is a case study, this cudgel that people are beating this issue over the head with, because the persuasive argument goes, look at how all of these trans women, all of these trans girls have these undeniable, scientifically validated physical advantages over quote unquote biological women, which is what they call them, right? So these trans girls, categorically, the argument goes, are better and stronger and faster than biological girls at sports. And so What does this mean? It means that your daughters, America's daughters, okay, they're all losing scholarships and opportunities and trophies to these trans girls who have this enormous unfair competitive advantage. And it's the very logic behind why the US House of Representatives in April passed a federal bill that mirrors this legislation that has now been successfully passed by 23 states, all of which are banning trans girls from playing girls' sports.
23 is a lot.
Yes, about half of the country, right? And even more states, like Ohio, for instance, are trying to enact anti-trans bills as we speak. In June, Ohio's House of Representatives approved a bill that would ban trans girls from playing in girls' sports as early as kindergarten.
Kindergarten?
Banning trans girls as young as kindergarten through college. But there is one part of the story that I think I want to establish with you. Because the part that people don't like to talk about in all of these arguments is just how many trans people in general there actually are in America, right? Because the consistent message here is that this threat is everywhere. It's pervasive, it's enormous. And so one study, to that point, one study found that the average American now believes that 21% of American adults identify as trans. 21% of American adults are trans people, is what the average American presumes. Do you know, Cortez, what the real percentage is?
I mean, given polling errors and stuff, maybe half that, 10%, something like that?
0.5%.
Okay.
0.5%, according
Wow.
to UCLA's Williams Institute. The actual answer is 0.5% of American adults are trans. And that's a fraction of 1%. And so I bring this up just to say that the number of trans kids, the number of trans girls actually playing sports in America, that number of kids who are allegedly taking away scholarships and opportunities and trophies, that number is obviously even tinier than that. And so there was one Associated Press story in 2021 that I cannot stop thinking about because it surveyed 24 lawmakers that were sponsoring these bills, and they found that in almost every case, is what the reporting said verbatim, they could not cite a single trans female athlete in real life, in their own state or region, whatever they represented, that had caused the problem they were allegedly solving.
That's insane.
So in one state in particular, I want to focus again on Ohio here.
Mm-hmm.
In Ohio, there was exactly one trans girl playing varsity sports at the time that they tried to pass these anti-trans bills.
Okay.
And this trans girl was a catcher on her high school softball team named Ember Zelch. Now, Leah Thomas I had heard of. Ember Zelch I had never, ever heard of. Had you?
No, but that's a name I'm sure not to forget because it's an awesome name.
It is pretty
objectively.
badass, actually. Yeah. Yes. So the truth behind Ember Zelch, the name, the person, what's behind there, that is why I decided to go on a scouting trip to Northeast Ohio. Because I wanted to find Ember Zelch, the trans girl who is too good at softball, right? So good, in fact, at softball that the state of Ohio tried to ban her from doing it, from playing this sport. And I needed to find out how good Ember Zelch actually is. When you think back on your first foray into playing on the girls' team, was there a lot of drama?
No, not at all. The only drama was from the state.
Your teammates. So like a lot of these
teammates were great.
conversations are about you're taking spots away from the real girls.
Yeah,
That's what the news is blaring.
yeah.
And in reality, what happened in terms of their reaction, your teammates' reaction to you joining?
When I came out to my most recent summer team this past summer, everyone got into a circle and we all went around, your name, your grade, and a fun fact about you. And I was like, I'm Ember Zelch. I am upcoming freshman in college, and I am trans. Half of the facial expressions, just like, okay, I'm gay. I didn't use that as my fun fact. What Like they were just like, okay, show off. Like it was clearly like it was weird, and they thought it was weird. Not that I was trans, but that I told them I was trans. Like it was a big deal.
So they were not worried about job security when it came to their playing time. That was not their response.
Not even slightly.
So if the kids on the team they almost didn't care, weren't impressed by the fact that you were trans, who did not want you to play softball?
Politicians. Exclusively politicians. And mostly older male politicians.
What did they do?
They are doing their damn best to make it illegal for me to play.
There's a nationwide effort to save women's sports.
Conservative lawmakers have introduced bills in 30 states that would prevent transgender athletes from participating in girls' sports. And the governor of Arkansas just signed a bill into law there.
So actually, it was 2 months after I was approved to play. 2 months after I was in my mom's crying tears of joy because the state of Ohio said that I was a girl, I could play with the girls. The Ohio State House introduced a bill that would make it illegal for me to play.
And that bill, by the way, first introduced in 2021, was named the Save Women's Sports Act.
The Save Women's Sports Act is a fairness issue for women to be able to achieve their dreams in athletics in our state, and is crucial to preserving women's rights and the integrity of women's and girls' sports.
Which meant banning trans girls from joining girls' teams, specifically. And that felt how personal to you?
At the time, it didn't feel extremely personal. It was just like, fear, which made sense. I was aware that people are afraid of what they don't understand. Like the same exact thing with my animals. Like you don't understand it, so it's scary. And I get that to some extent. It's a defense mechanism. It's for safety. But then I found out that at the time, I was the only high school trans female athlete in Ohio that had been approved to play. The only one.
The population they were concerned about, the people who they saw as threatening sports and their girls,
yes,
was literally just you.
Yes.
This has been Pablo Torre Finds Out, a Meadowlark Media production. And I'll talk to you next time.